Welcome to Thursday. It's July 10th, 2025. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at wyomingadvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. We're going to have a little bit of everything over the next 2 weeks. We have a small little wave coming through the region today. It produced for some of you some overnight showers and thunderstorms along the I-80 corridor. We have a pretty decent little cold front coming in on Friday into Saturday. It'll get hot again. Then it's going to cool off again. What we have is that small little system we showed you yesterday, indeed, over parts of northeastern Utah, the I-80 corridor, southwest and south central Wyoming, some showers and thunderstorms developed and have rolled on through. So this will trigger an increase in thunderstorm activity today after a pretty quiet day, relatively speaking, for the Rockies and the Front Range. We still had some strong thunderstorms out in the northern plains. Now behind this front, temperatures will really drop, especially noticeable tomorrow and late tonight into tomorrow in Montana and Wyoming. Then eastern Colorado will cool off on Saturday. And upslope conditions along and east of the divide will produce some low clouds, more showers and thunderstorms. Friday and into Friday night's going to be pretty active. We'll show you that here in a minute. And that cold front we kind of hinted at for next week is still on the table. Boy, is it ever. And we'll kind of take a look at see what might transpire with that system. As you can see in that first photo, the moon out bright. And here's another good shot of the moon out. And yesterday with the drier air, as you'll see here in the next two photos, got a lot of virgo, which is rain that evaporates as it comes out of the clouds. And a lot of times never reaches the ground where you just get a sprinkle and a gusty wind. And we saw that yesterday as that drier desert air came a little bit more prevalent. And here's another shot in the Wheatland area yesterday evening. Now, this moisture that you see in the air, part of this little weather disturbance that's going across southern Wyoming and northern Colorado early this morning. Nice shot there on Wyoming's birthday. Yes, today is Wyoming's birthday, 135 years old on this July 10th. And there's a very appropriate picture for that. Thanks, Carl, for sending that along. You can see very easily on the satellite imagery that upper level wave that over the last several days had been over Oregon and Northern California, just kind of stuck there. Here's the strong thunderstorms that formed in the evening and overnight hours in the northern plains. So this little wave right here overnight brought some showers and thunderstorms underneath it. And as it heads east and gets east of the divide, well, it's going to cause shower and thunderstorm activity. There's a good amount of moisture with this system, as you can see there. And here's the monsoonal moisture flow. We had shown you that the way the pattern was going to be, that the monsoonal moisture was going to get directed out in the Pacific. Look at that route it's taking, taking quite the route. But as it comes on through, it's going to produce some showers and thunderstorms today, so it's going to be pretty busy. By noon today, the system's going to be, between Casper and Cheyenne, heading east, and then up north, here's that cold front swinging in right behind it. That will come in for tonight and tomorrow into the northern and central Rockies. So today, showers and thunderstorms will be breaking out here. So we're going to see some strong ones. We'll need to watch that, especially in the Dakotas, parts of the Panhandle, Nebraska, down to southeast Colorado, down into New Mexico. And we have this patch of deeper moisture right along the Mexico-U.S. border. Drier air coming in behind it. So we'll need to look out for strong to severe thunderstorms in the dark green and yellow shaded area today. More general thunderstorms in the lighter green. Tomorrow, that system is off to the east, going into the Corn Belt and Midwest to produce quite a bit of weather there. But the cold front is right behind it. So by noon Friday, the frontal boundary is going to be at least there, maybe a little bit more off to the east. But cool air coming in right behind it will be coming in across Montana and Wyoming during the day on Friday. This is by 3 p.m. Friday. So you can see the blue where the cooler air for the cold front is penetrating. The I-90 corridor is going to be the coolest relative to the 30-year normals, averages. Well, plenty of heat will continue along in west of the divide. So that's cold front number one. And this is where the thunderstorms are going to be the strongest Friday afternoon and evening. From the Corn Belt there, the Northwest Corn Belt, then back into the east slopes of the Rockies, where the upslope, you can really see where the upslope makes a difference there right along the I-25 corridor. For Friday afternoon and evening, thunderstorms will break out there. We'll have some strong ones. We'll need to watch out for that along that axis right there. And now, we showed you this yesterday, and it's worth noting, especially for folks along the Colorado Front Range and out on into the eastern plains of Colorado, because upslope behind the system on Friday will not only produce Friday afternoon and evening thunderstorms, but they may go between sundown and midnight with some thunderstorms here right along the I-25 corridor. And I've seen this before. These can be sneaky in terms of being severe, especially with it, I hate to say it, it's the four-letter H word. So kind of watch that Friday evening and early Friday night in this area here. And then those thunderstorms will continue into the overnight hours into the eastern plains of Colorado. And again, need to watch out for a couple of sneaky severe thunderstorms in this type of scenario. Then by Sunday, the frontal system has washed out. We've got this high pressure ridge building in for some hot weather for California and the Central Valley especially. And the jet stream going west to east like this will continue to suppress the monsoonal moisture and keep it down here. So the heat will come back. So yes, Friday and Saturday will be noticeably cooler. Sunday and Monday, well, temperatures bounce right back up again and get hot. But up in the Great White North, things are changing towards the middle of next week. So there you can see the temperatures by Sunday. Cooler down south, warmer weather, the warm air comes right back on in. Then as we get into the early parts of next week, a couple of things to show you. First of all, the suppression of the monsoonal moisture is more down right here. This green, the moisture that you see up here, is because of what's forming up in the Pacific and up into Canada. You see that swirl? That swirl is a deepening area of low pressure over parts of Manitoba. And that's bringing in some Pacific moisture, not subtropical moisture, but Pacific moisture. So we have these two areas of moisture in the north, two areas, another moisture in this area down into the south. As we get into Tuesday, this is Tuesday morning, the 15th, we see the formation of a trough of low pressure that extends really from the higher latitudes all the way down there into central Canada with this high pressure ridge building in the eastern Pacific. As folks who've been watching this podcast know for a long time, that when you put a high here and you cause the jet stream to go north, it's going to buckle and go south. This is something that we see during the cold season quite a bit. And we watch this configuration because when you get a ridge here, you can expect the western half of the United States to have a cooling trend. And that's exactly what's showing up here. Now, the European model has been very consistent with this, and this is a very robust system. Follow the black wind barbs here and just trace the flow of air from them. So what's getting injected into this low on the back side of it is a transport of air from pretty high latitudes to lower latitudes. And when you see a transport of air that's cross latitude like this very quickly, you're gonna build in some cooler air behind the low. Now, it's just not the European model showing this. The AI version, it's a little bit more smoothed out, but it sees it. The GFS sees it, but not as strong. What you want to look here is the configuration. The configurations are the same. If you go back and look at the models, the ridge in the Pacific, the low in central Canada, and the Canadian model, as we'll show you here in a moment, is just nuts. Just crazy. But the point here is there's consistency. The pattern is dominated by an H here and an L here towards the middle of next week. So that is a signal that if you just look at it big picture, that pattern would represent another strong cold front for the western United States. Look at these temperature anomalies by Wednesday. This is crazy town. Purple means an anomaly of 30 degrees Fahrenheit or more. The dark green is pretty impressive as well. But as you get into the blues and purples here, that's quite the drop in temperature. The GFS is not nearly as cold, and it's a day earlier with the colder temperatures, more likely on Tuesday. So it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week that the temperatures reverse and go back down. Look at these anomalies on the Canadian model. I think the Canadian model is too extreme. Seeing something like this right smack dab in the middle of July is kind of out of order. We'll just have to watch. If you're a weather watcher, it'll be kind of fun to see what develops. Probably not that extreme, but if it is, let's just, for display purposes only, if the Canadian model ends up being right, those are the forecasted low temperatures Thursday morning. Look at those temperatures in Montana. Look at these temperatures in the northern Bighorn Basin of Wyoming. Will it be that cold? I mean, that's cold for July. We'll see. It'll be something to keep an eye on. But if you look at the temperatures, you would expect that there might be snow in the high country, and the models are seeing that, not only with this first front Friday up here, but with the second system up here and down into here towards Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. By we get to the end of the week, let's get that front out of there. There it is. It swings through the Great Lakes. Then we start to see more of a summer pattern getting back. High pressure starts to build over Texas and follow the wind flow. So we talked yesterday about the monsoonal moisture coming in around the 19th. That's still on schedule because the circulation around the lows and the highs start to transport that subtropical north again. So there will be a rebound in temperatures, and there'll be a rebound in the subtropical moisture flow again. But the middle of next week will be cold front interruptus for sure. Then as we get into that period of watching the subtropical moisture again, look at the dry air, the dry Canadian air that comes in behind that cold front for the northern plains and the Great Lakes. This is something you would see in the fall. That'll just sweep out the humidity and bring sunshine and fair weather. Of course, there's going to be severe weather in this part of the nation right here associated with the cold front. That's a storyline for next week. Here's the subtropical moisture coming back into Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, western Colorado, all the way back into southern California, and then that's going to start to rotate back to the north and east again by the weekend following this one. And then if we go out a couple of weeks to the 24th of January, this is a summer pattern. This is where the summer high usually wants to be around. Now it vacillates back and forth, but really it may not be until the third week of July before we see that summer pattern that this looks a lot more familiar. So plenty of fun weather here in the month of July. Have yourself a good Thursday.